Let me take a step back for a minute and let me explain a very important, make a very important point, and that is that the border is secure. The United States Border Patrol secures the border on behalf of the American people. That's what we do, and we are doing it. In order to keep the American public safe in the time of pandemic, we are expelling families under the CDC's authority. We are expelling single adults. And what we are doing is addressing young children who come to the border to make claims under the humanitarian laws that our country has established years and years ago. And we are building the capacity to address the needs of those children when they arrive, but we are also, and critically, sending an important message that now is not the time to come to the border. And it's an important message, and let me share with you a real-life example why.
Woo. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. The border. Our southern border in America. It is quite the ordeal, don't you think? Wow. That was Department of Homeland Security, the director, Alejandro Mayorkas, filling us in on that now is probably not the best time for illegal immigrants to come flooding into our country. There will be a better time. He's hinting that there will be a better time. The only reason he's hinting that at this point is because they are experiencing some very, very ugly things down there at our southern border. Hello! Ada Jet Noise. Once again, Facebook, Rumble, rumble.com, Ada Jet Noise, ADA Jet Noise, as you saw in the little logo there. ADA Jet Noise on Rumble, ADA Jet Noise on YouTube, again on Facebook, and Parler, if they ever get their room in order. Yeah, the southern border, man, is the biggest, should be our biggest concern right now. That information that you got from Mr. Senor, whatever, Mayorkas, he's hinting that now is not the best time, and the reason they're saying that now is because they're getting far in over their heads with the number of people that are coming through. And that's the number of people that are coming through. The number of people that they know are going to come through, that are kind of in those caravans that are still crossing through Mexico to get here is out of control. The man said at the beginning of the week, Mr. Mayorkas said that the border will see as many people more. They're far going to exceed as many people as they did. There hasn't been this many people that crossed the border in 20 years. In 20 years. That is, it's crazy. And whoever thinks that however number that was, however number of many people came through 20 years ago, whoever thinks that they're not going to get through here, that we're not going to far exceed that, you're nuts. It's free ride, man. It says, I was just looking at Gila Bend, Arizona, Mayor Chris Riggs was talking about how the White House itself has just turned their back on that city. And they've done more than just turn their back on the city. Here's what's going on. Department of Homeland Security, Border Patrol, what have you. They're in a situation where they are just taking the people that have crossed, and they can't hold them any longer. They're just taking them to Gila Bend and leaving them there. They're taking them to an American city and leaving them there. And that's by orders. That's a seize, isn't it? That's taking over a city. That's taking over an American city. What's going to end up happening is obviously you've let enough people in there, it's just going to be overtaken. You know, call it white flight, if you will, which is not the proper word, proper terminology, but it gives you an idea of what's going to happen in Gila Bend. Those people they're going to be accommodated there, and they're just going to flood that city. That's a seize. It's a takeover. Call it a coup if you need to. They're just going to take over, and the people of Gila Bend are just going to be pushed out. There's no other way of looking at it. They're not going. They're sitting in Gila Bend and they're just fine. But now they're being asked. They're being forced, not asked. They're being forced to take on thousands of individuals. Gila Bend, Arizona is in. I'm sure they're not the only ones in that situation. But apparently the White House is just leaving them in the dark. They're just like, here's a bunch of people. What do you want us to do with them? Good luck. Good luck. So that's what's happening there. And on top of what's happening in the border, another 4 people matching terror watch list arrested at the border. 4 people whose names match on the terror watch list. They're not only do they match, but they're the people that are coming across. We've got terrorists coming across the border. Who would have thunk it? Right? Who would have thought that? Some schmoes in his attic. You know, any libertarian or conservative, talk show personality. We've all been telling you, but this is a surprise. What's really frustrating is that our liberal friends and our don't want to get involved friends they're not getting this information in the rate that they should. They get little spurts here and there that there's a border problem and they should be worried about there's kids down there, but they don't really understand how the kids got down there. They just think at least from the past 4 years that our friends, they think that Trump was going down south of the border and just taking kids and just throwing them in a box here in the United States. That's what they were told, right? Throwing them behind cages, right? They just ripped them from their parents. Like he's physically getting between a mom and her 5-year-old and like shoving the mom away, picking up the kid and throwing them behind a cage. That is the picture that the news media painted. And now they can't paint the same picture because they're on the same side as the current White House administration. So here we are. As the border issue gets incredibly ugly, it's already incredibly ugly. I told you yesterday, one of the facilities is at 729% capacity. 729 is 729% capacity. Kids are stacked up on top of each other at this point in that facility. And where's the celebrities? Where's the de Blasio standing at the fence, yelling at the reporters? This is not right. This is not. Where's the crying Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Will Jennifer Lopez put more kids in cages at the next Super Bowl to make a statement? Huh? So at this, right now, we have completely accepted. I had friends that said it doesn't matter. I have a beautiful friend. She said it doesn't matter who is in charge. Those kids should not be in cages. And right now, then she's absolutely right. Now, no one seems to care. It's heartbreaking. Hey. So we're stuck with the border crisis. And like I said, give us a couple years. Give us about 3 years. And everyone is going to feel the border crisis. Let's get into something different for a change, right? We have people like Andrew Cuomo saying he wouldn't trust the vaccine rollout under Trump, and I think Republicans are contrarian by nature. That statement was made by Meghan McCain. The reason she made that statement was because she was criticizing Dr. Fauci. He can't be trusted. I'll get into more of her quote. We are built from my very we are built from my very fabric up to question authority and the question of big government. When big government is saying you have to do X, Y, and Z, we're going to question it, which is the way it should be. We've got too many of our friends that are just waiting to hear from what, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Dr. Fauci, they're waiting to hear what is their next move. Here in Ohio, Governor DeWine, Governor DeWine used to do the similar shows like Andrew Cuomo. And the similar, I don't know, where the half-hour programs, you guys are going to have to correct me on that, the people that were into those things. And literally, I would have people, like hanging on every word on what DeWine was saying, when it was obvious that DeWine was being told, hey, this is best, this is best, this is best. But meanwhile, nobody knew exactly what they were talking about. So how do we know it's best? And you're just going by, Governor DeWine, you're just going by so-called experts in a virus that has no experts. That had, I remember we had a friend, or I should say I have a friend. Haven't lost this one yet. Have a friend that was saying that was fine with him easing the state open. He said that was a good idea. Well, how do we know? He doesn't know. And I genuinely believe he didn't know when he was making it. And I genuinely believe that he believes that he was saving lives. That was his attempt to save lives. And it's very noble. It's very noble. But the business is lost. The children out of school. It's saying that he kept saying they're following the science, when indeed the science is saying the kids need to be back in school. If you're following the science, for more than 11 months was saying stay away from each other 6 feet, and then all of a sudden it's, well, the 6 feet didn't really make a difference. 3 feet is just fine. There was no science, no real science to something that you're just learning about. The only science that you can tag onto this virus is this Wuhan flu, is that the steps we're taking to measure it. I played yesterday part of the interview with Eugenio Derbez with Dr. Fauci, and I played the one part where he was asked, where Eugenio asked him if will the illegal immigrants be okay if they go get this? Will they get in trouble if they go get this vaccine? And that was yesterday, because I really wanted to touch on what was going on at the border. That was yesterday. But part of that interview, and if you haven't seen it, it's on my Facebook page, Eugenio Derbez and Dr. Fauci. Eugenio held Fauci's feet to the fire. At one point, Fauci scratching his neck. You can see him shrinking in his chair as the interview goes on. There's a few cuts in the video. There's a few cuts, a few edits in the video. So whatever those were about. But I think Eugenio was brilliant in his questioning. What I'm getting at now is Eugenio had asked him, what can we expect from the vaccine when we take the vaccine? Is it going to kill the virus? Is it going are we still going to be asymptomatic? Why are we're still wearing the mask if we're taking if we're getting the virus? Blah blah and blah blah blah. And what Fauci, in typical Fauci way, was just kind of spinning his answer in the salad spinner, in the Fauci salad spinner. And the bottom line, what you take away from it, is that you can, Eugenio, the one question that he should have asked, as soon as he finished, as soon as Fauci finished with his salad spinner answer, it was, well, how is it any different than remdesivir or hydroxychloroquine? Yeah, because it was, the vaccine itself was acting like a prophylactic, which is exactly what hydroxychloroquine and remdesivir were doing. So did we have the answer all along? Or is this just a liquid form? Is this virus just a liquid form of remdesivir and or hydroxychloroquine? What is happening here? Again, if we're getting the vaccine, why do we have to continue wearing the mask? At this point, there is enough people that have either had it, they've either had the virus, had the vaccine, that whatever is left, whoever is left that hasn't necessarily experienced either one of those things, should be in far less danger. Especially you're 50 and under. 50 and over, if you're mid-40s and under. Because 50 and over, we're taking hard hits. But you really don't, the numbers really don't start, the mortality rate doesn't really start rising until you start getting mid-50s, late 50s, and up. That's where the mortality rate. And even then, now that number's slowing down. But those are our most vulnerable. And obviously, if you got respiratory diseases and what have you, those are our most vulnerable. But at this point, why is the mask still a thing? And again, I'm not even anti-mask. Well, technically, yes, I am. I don't want to wear it, but I will. I don't have a problem wearing it. But the idea that we're still wearing it under these conditions, if this vaccine is to do what they say it's supposed to do, then the mask doesn't mean anything. The mask technically didn't mean anything in the first place, because 80% was the number of people that were masking in the country. 80%. All right, when you saw the videos of people not masking, the reason that's a big deal is because it was rare. It's like airplane accident. You don't report every car accident, but you report almost every airplane accident. Just about every airplane accident gets reported. People not wearing masks, it was a rare thing in this situation. There were most people that didn't want to wear a mask and knew they didn't wear it a lot in the places wouldn't go to those places. You know, recently we had a lady in Texas arrested because she wasn't wearing a mask in a bank. He had here in our Northeast Ohio, a lady at Mark's arrested because she wasn't wearing a mask. All right? Because most everyone is wearing a mask. 80% of people that were wearing a mask, and still the outrageous number of over 500,000 people have allegedly died from this virus. Even though we know that in many cases they may have died of something else, but they had COVID, so that's a COVID death. That's where we're at. But back to Meghan McCain. She was saying, again, her whole thing was she was questioning Fauci on this. I'm going to question it, and I think that there has been a real misstep with messaging from people like Dr. Fauci, which I know I'm going to get eviscerated for saying this. I don't 100% trust him. And I think even people that did at one point have gotten to that point. They don't 100% trust him. I'll continue with Meghan. I don't think that he is unbiased, and I don't think that he's an unbiased actor in any of this. He's a government official, as Sarah pointed out. I'm one of the whoever Sarah was. I'm one of the people that feel that way about him. Excuse me. There have been many opportunities to right this wrong, including President Biden going to TV and giving credit to President Trump for the help with the rollout of this vaccine, which he didn't do. Which is true. If he was a president for all the people, like he said he was going to be, he wouldn't be softballing, he wouldn't be softballing this whole thing about, hey, look, we got the vaccine out there for you. He could literally say, thanks for the help from the last administration. Thanks from the help from the last administration. They helped. They obviously got this thing rolling. We want to make sure that you get it. We're gonna do everything we can to make sure that you get the vaccine. But they can't do that. There's no reality. Everything is political. Everything is political. Right? It's hard enough for Fauci to say that Trump was the one that got this Operation Warp Speed. And for those of you that are happy that this vaccine is out there and you're ready to go get it, or you've either gotten it or what have you, you have to remember when it got here. You have to remember when it got here. So, questions legitimate questions on whether or not this vaccine is what it's, is doing what it's supposed to be doing, or can we trust it, or can we even trust the government, period, on all of this when it comes to this vaccine. Again, I encourage those of you that feel you need this vaccine to go get this vaccine. I'm just saying maybe you should consult a physician before you go get it. And part of that goes into what just happened this past weekend. Marvelous Marvin Hagler, incredible boxer, big fan of his. I was, still am. Good man, a great boxer, great history in the sport. Great history in the sport. Marvin Hagler has passed away this past weekend, and just before that, he had taken the vaccine. Like just days before that, he had taken the vaccine. Now, the last number I heard, and I'm only going to because this is the number I heard, but don't hold me to this. The last number I heard is there was 2,000 deaths, not connected to the inoculation, not connected. It's important to hear that, but they did happen after inoculation. 2,000 deaths. There has been Bell's palsy situations. I remember early on when it first came out, there was a lady that said she was a nurse. They gave her the vaccine, and she had a serious case of Bell's palsy. Haven't heard much after that, so I'm assuming that probably her Bell's palsy had cleared up. But then there was other claims that Bell's palsy was a thing after getting inoculated. Hagler died after he had taken the vaccine. Hank Aaron, who specifically took the vaccine to encourage the black community not to be afraid, and that this was important to get this vaccination. Hank Aaron died like within a week or 10 days, soon after he had gotten the vaccine. Seemingly good health for his age, but he had put his life. It's important to understand that he kind of went out as a hero, because he got it specifically without knowing too much about it. He got the vaccine specifically to encourage the black community. Please go get this vaccine. It's going to save lives. He died soon after that. None of these deaths have been connected to the vaccine, but they have not been connected to the vaccine. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to get the vaccine, you may want to consult with your doctor first. I don't know what sort of answers they'd be able to give you, but maybe you're vulnerable. You have this condition, you're vulnerable to this, blah, 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 blah. It's up to you whether or not you want to get the vaccine. Still, so far, we're not being forced, which I want to thank God for that, but I also don't want to speak too soon on that. I do know that in some situations, some companies are going to insist that if you want to use their services, or want to work there, that you will be required to get this vaccine. Again, all of this is not a knock on the vaccine itself. All of this has nothing to do with me trying to knock who wants to get it, or the efficacy of the vaccine, what have you. It's not a knock. What I'm saying is, this is new. It is not FDA approved. Again, if you didn't know that, this is not FDA approved. It's emergency. It has an emergency approval to use. So, in other words, the companies can release this thing out to the public, but it has not been approved by the FDA. It has emergency usage approval. And again, going back to Dr. Fauci during the Derbez interview, when he explains what the vaccine does, or what it's doing, and why he insists on people still wearing masks even after they get it, it's not doing anything different than what hydroxychloroquine and remdesivir are doing. It's just acting as a prophylactic, which, quite frankly, just means we were sitting on the answer all along, and a lot of doctors, professional doctors, need to be apologized to if that's the case, because we all called them quacks. You all laughed at them. They were canceled. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting that we would put people through that. We only listened to the people that challenged the Trump administration. And that's sad. And that's the bottom line of politicizing this virus. We were never in this. We were never all in this together, just like you said. Just like everyone wanted you to believe. Putin. Jeez, let's change direction. Putin vows to take down Twitter in 30 days if they don't take banned content related to child porn, suicide, and Alexis Navalny. I'll have to get into that necessarily later, but he challenges Putin's leadership, and Putin is just not interested in that hitting. But they want them to take down things that related to child porn, suicide, and Alexis. Now, I can't Twitter. I can't say certain things. Just the other day, if you use the word Memphis, watch me get canceled. If you use the word Memphis on Twitter, you were suspended for 12 hours. They said it was some sort of glitch, mistake, what have you. The word Memphis was not allowed on Twitter. They would suspend you literally for 12 hours if you used the word Memphis. Why that triggered anything? Still completely unexplained. Maybe you guys can come up with something. But things like that, Twitter has no problem deleting conservatives for stating their mind. They you can quote Mein Kampf, you can't quote QAnon. Not a QAnon fan. Here's my thing about QAnon. QAnon would take real news and then turn it into this incredibly spy movie scenario. And they were good at writing all this incredibly just like intriguing stuff. They would take real things that Trump would have done, put certain things into law, and then turn it into this incredible fictional writing. Things that probably could come true, but there was no proof that those things would come through, that were going to come through, or that were even going to happen. So it became hard for me to trust QAnon because it was like reading novels. Their stuff was like reading novels, as opposed to can we get to some sort of bottom line here? Can we get to some sort of answer? Can we get to some sort of agreement on something? That's where QAnon was with me, which made me, pardon me if I go full on conspiracy. Could you get more conspiracy than QAnon? But which made me believe that since the writing was so good, was it just not people setting up, the right-leaners, the conservatives, the libertarians? Wasn't it just not giving? It was just feeding some sort of right-wing lies to conservatives and libertarians, giving them some sort of false hopes. Why wouldn't it be like left-wing writers giving people exactly, giving their we'll call them their enemies, the left-wing writers, the left-wing, why wouldn't they give their enemies this sort of false ammunition so they can shoot them, actual ammunition to shoot themselves in the foot? So to me, I have a lot of questions about QAnon. To me, it seemed like a trap. Like a trap. Anyway, back to Putin. Critics say that the move designed to stop opposition leaders from organizing protests, that certainly could be legitimate. This came a day after Alexei Navalny posted his first update from inside the jail. You can see where Putin feels about Navalny. But critics say the crackdown is actually an attempt to stop Putin's political opponents from organizing rallies, as they did in numbers of cities earlier this year. So Russia, who's already got issues with Twitter, they slowed down the servers for them. They are, they're not, bottom line, they're not happy with Twitter. Doesn't that sound familiar? Facebook, Twitter, doesn't all that stuff sound familiar? Where Putin is trying to get rid of his opposition, shut down his opposition. So Twitter and Facebook should actually be comfortable in that situation, because that's what they're doing to conservatives and libertarians. This is all comes a week after it was announced that Twitter's internet speed would be slowed down unless it removed the offending content. Twitter is also being sued in Russia for allegedly failing to delete material encouraging children to join anti-Putin protests. Twitter said at the time that it was worried about the impact on free speech, despite Russia laws specifically outlawing children's attending protests. Back in January, Putin personally accused social media giants in January for controlling society and restricting the right to freely express. Again, Putin, all people, is he's of all people to say that. That Twitter's trying to control society. Putin would be the funniest one to say that. But he's not wrong, right? You know, Putin's trying to take over the world. So is Twitter. So it's two jackasses walking to a bar kind of situation. There's that. Then there's Louisiana. This one's heartbreaking. Louisiana oil and gas industry in danger after President Biden cancels 80 million acres oil lease sale. After Biden signed an executive order banning all new oil and gas leases on public land and waters for 60 days, the 60-day ban on sales for that. You know why? Climate change, save the planet, global warming thingy. Louisiana Oil and Gas Association President Mike Moncla, right now, he said, quote, right now I think we're still pretty much in a holding pattern. It was 60-day ban. It's a 60-day ban, and he was going through look at it. He was going to look through it. The president, that is. Moncla says their worst fears was the president was going to extend the 60 days. You know he's going to extend the 60 days. The biggest landowner in the country right now is the federal government. Why does the federal government own land? Why? We know why. This is why. You can't mine, you can't dig, you can't drill. This is why. Because they can put stops on these sorts of things. Since that time, Governor Edwards has sent in him a great letter letting, this is Moncla still talking, a great letter letting him know exactly what it would mean to Louisiana, all of the economic and finances that come from offshore work, right? All right, so of course they're going to send him a letter. You're not going to, it's like, you got to let us do this, you know. People can go back to work. They're not worried. This government is not worried about getting people back to work. That has nothing to do with what the plan is. He says that 60-day ban comes closer to its end. President Biden isn't easing restrictions. We know he's not going to ease restrictions. He's enforcing new ones, canceling the 80 million acre Gulf of Mexico oil lease sale that was scheduled for March 17th in New Orleans. It would kill our state. It would kill workers, Moncla added. It would kill jobs, and it would be a terrible thing. Moncla says all they can do is wait. We're hoping the Governor Edwards letter may, change Biden's mind. The Gulf of Mexico supports 250,000 jobs between Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi, and 98,000 Louisiana jobs offshore. This is why the largest landowner in the country is the federal government. Because they can stop, they put the skids on this immediately. And in this case, the extension for the ban on selling this particular land just means that they're going to come, that the federal government is going to come in and swoop that up too. Instead of encouraging energy dependence, similar as we had in the past 4.5 years, we are going to become energy dependent. And that's hurtful. Newsome. Some lighter junk. Some lighter junk news. Newsome responds to his recall. I'm not going to take this recall attempt lying down. Newsome said. He's so handsome, isn't he? He's just so handsome, and his hair's so thick. And he's not going to take this lying down. Wouldn't you like to lie down next to Gavin Newsome, huh? And let's call it what it is. It's a partisan. This is Newsome. Let's call it what it is. It's a partisan Republican recall, backed by the Republican National Committee, anti-mask, anti-vax extremists, and pro-Trump forces who want to overturn the last election and have opposed much of what we have done to fight the pandemic. I won't be distracted by the partisan Republican recall, but I will fight. There is too much at stake. Yeah, Gavin. Yeah, chances are that your incredibly draconian measures are probably challenged by people that supported Trump. And chances are, yeah, they're anti-mask. Some could be anti-vax. Yes, Gavin, that shouldn't come as a surprise to you. That the people that are against your edicts, rules, draconian ways are done are the ones that are trying to recall you. That's kind of a stupid thing to say. I just heard yesterday that the guy that put the petition together, you remember when Gavin Newsom went to the French Laundry, even after he told everyone, don't do anything, buy a plastic bag, put it over your head, and stand still in the corner in your house. Damn near said that. The next day, the next night, he's sitting with 26 of his friends, no mask, at the French Laundry, regular dinner, $250 a plate, what have you. Some of the people were even medical officials that are telling him, make sure you tell everyone to stay in their closets. Maybe they knew that was their way of saying, we'll make sure that we'll have reservations at the French Laundry. After the French Laundry incident, immediately after the French Laundry incident, this just reminded me of something else. He actually, when he apologized, he actually flew to Hawaii. He flew to Hawaii, and they had some sort of shindig there. Yeah, right. So he's telling everyone in California, don't do anything. If you have to fart tight, clench your butt cheeks. He's telling them, don't do anything, and he's going to have the time of his life. The petition to get rid of Newsom had about 10,000 signatures. They had about 10,000 signatures just before the French Laundry incident. About 10 days after the French Laundry incident, they needed 150,000. No, I take that back. They needed 1.5 million signatures. They needed 1.5 million signatures to start this recall on Gavin Newsom. About 10 days after the French Laundry incident, they had 2 million. 2 million, and they're expecting 3 million. The people are done. And there's no way in the world, none, that every signature on that is an anti-vaxxer, an anti-masker, a Trump supporter. You burned your bridge, Gavin. No matter how handsome you are. So, that being said, I'm done. We got so much more to cover. Did you hear about the guy that killed 4 family members for the stimulus check? 4 family members he killed. Not his family, his girlfriend's family. The mother of his child. The irony is that he went in there to get half of her check. And she was willing to give some of the check. He's not taking care of his kid. She said he's not even working. But he wants half of the check. She said, I'll give you some. He said, oh, I'm going to get that check. And he left, and he came back, and killed 4 members of the family. Of her family. Her brother, her cousin, her mom, and her 7-year-old daughter. Her 7-year-old daughter. He took his baby. He kidnapped his baby. The baby was found. It's alive, thank God. And he's been arrested. But the idea that these people are sitting around waiting for these stimulus checks and willing to kill other people to get it. Says a lot about the world we're in today. Thanks again for joining me. I will see you tomorrow morning. Ada Jet Noise. Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, Parler, if they ever get their room together. Thank you to my Rumble family. For encouraging me. And I'm going to have to, like I said, I'm going to have to introduce you guys to the story of my son. So you can understand where my little corner of the world. And exactly what gets me up in the morning. Trying to be a halfway decent father. It's hard to do. It's hard to do. You're never going to be satisfied in who you are when it comes to being a parent. Again, thank you for joining me. One day I will have happy news. This is just the things that are going on right now are just crappy. They're just crappy. Is there hardly anything good out there? Meghan Markle. Right? Okay, I'm just kidding. Maybe we'll touch on Meghan Markle tomorrow. Yeah, just to change gears a little bit. But again, thank you for joining me. Ada Jet Noise. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow morning. Till then, big hug. Be still. Be good. Enjoy your life.